welcome to our lesson on trade and commerce. Before we get too far into this lesson, it's important to discuss what trade and commerce are. Trade is the exchange of goods for other goods. Commerce is the exchange of goods or services for money. At the beginning of the Middle Ages, only the wealthy could afford to purchase goods. This is because most of the items that were being traded or sold were luxury items. The general population had to make their own everyday items such as food, clothes, and other household items. It wasn't until the High Middle Ages that these sorts of items started to be sold. Eventually, towns would become known for their specialized items such as glass, silk, and woolen cloth. Towns began to set up markets and fairs for merchants to be able to sell their goods. Local markets in each town are where food and other local goods were sold. Today we see farmers markets where local people bring handcrafted goods as well as food that they have either made or grown to be sold. Towns also had fairs. These were larger organized events for merchants to sell goods. These fairs were held up to twice a year, and people from other countries throughout Europe, the Middle East, and even Asia would come to the fairs to sell their goods. As we see local markets grow and town fairs develop, merchants are going to become rather wealthy and powerful within their communities. As the merchant class grows in power, so do the guilds. Guild members are going to become very influential and even sit on town councils. Some guild members became the mayor of their independent towns. With all of this growth, we also see the growth of prejudices. The word prejudice, as we're talking about it, means preconceived, usually unfavorable judgments towards people or a person because of their religion. Europe was predominantly Christian, but it also had a significant Jewish population. In Christian Europe, Jews were prohibited from owning land, and they were the victims of violence. Laws were created to regulate what Jews were able to do and not do. For instance, Jews were allowed to be bankers and moneylenders, but those were the only professions available to them. Medieval Christians believed that because Jewish people were already sinning by not being Christian, then it would be perfectly appropriate for them to engage in the sinful act of charging money for loans. The Jewish people, though, helped to create a successful economy throughout Europe.